Let me ask you something. Nobody dares to ask out loud. What if everything you were told about how life works was a lie? Not a small lie, not a white lie someone told you to protect your feelings. A massive lie. The kind of lie that keeps you soft, keeps you small, keeps you scrolling through someone else's highlight reel at 2 in the morning, wondering why your life feels like it's standing completely still. What if the reason you're not where you want to be right now, today, at this exact moment in your life, has nothing to do with your circumstances, your background, your bad luck, or the people who let you down? What if the real reason is something you've been too afraid to say out loud? Because here's the truth they never put on a motivational poster. Here's the thing no one will whisper to you while you're comfortable and warm and safe. Growth is not a gentle thing. It is not kind. It does not arrive with soft music playing in the background and a sunrise waiting to greet you. Growth comes like a storm, loud, disorienting, violent, and it will wreck everything inside you that was never built to last. Most people hear that and they flinch. They click away. They tell themselves, that's too dark, that's too heavy. And that's exactly why most people never grow. But you're still here, right now, in this moment. Something inside you refused to look away. Something in you is tired, deeply, bone-weary tired of the comfortable life that goes absolutely nowhere. So stay with me. Because what I'm about to share with you won't just motivate you for a day. It will rewire the way you see everything. And when you reach the end, you won't just feel inspired. You'll be different. Let's begin with something that might sting. Most people spend their entire lives saying they want to grow. They want success. They want discipline, wisdom, impact, and meaning. They talk about it over dinner. They write it in journals. They say it to their reflection in the bathroom mirror at night. But what they never say, what they never truly reckon with, is that growth demands a price so high, so unrelenting, so deeply personal, that most people quietly decide to stop paying it. Not because they gave up officially, not because they declared defeat, but because comfort showed up one afternoon and whispered, "You've done enough. You deserve to rest." And they listened, and they kept listening, until resting became their entire life. Here is what nobody tells you about the process of becoming who you were meant to be. It is a war, not with the world outside, not with your boss, your family, the economy, or the hand life dealt you. The war is inside. It is fought in the 5 seconds between your alarm going off and you reaching for your phone. It is fought in the moment someone disrespects you and you have to choose between reacting from your wounds or responding from your strength. It is fought in the quiet hours when your excuses sound so reasonable, so justified, so perfectly logical that you almost believe them yourself. Real growth, the kind that changes the architecture of your soul, does not happen in the highlight moments. It doesn't happen when you're pumped up, motivated, and surrounded by people cheering you on. It happens in the ugly, invisible, lonely moments when nobody is watching and every single fiber of your being is screaming at you to stop, and you choose to keep going anyway. This is brutal truth number 1, and it will cost you something to accept it. Growth will never feel good at the start. It will never arrive wearing comfortable shoes and a warm smile. It will feel like resistance. It will feel like you are slowly breaking. It will feel like loss, because it is loss. The version of you that seeks safety, that reaches for excuses the way a drowning person reaches for a rope, that runs back to what is familiar every time life gets difficult, that version of you has to die, and death is never painless. No one tells you this part. No one talks about what you lose on the way to becoming someone greater. You lose friends, real ones, people who loved the old, quieter, smaller version of you, because that version never challenged them, never outgrew them, never made them feel like they were standing still by comparison. When you start growing, those people feel it before you even say a word. And one by one, they drift. Sometimes they leave loudly. Sometimes they just slowly disappear, and it will confuse you. It will hurt you in ways you didn't expect. You will lie awake some nights wondering if you made a mistake, if the growth was worth the loneliness. It was. It always is. But you have to be willing to survive that grief to find out. And it's not just people you lose. You lose habits, patterns, the comfortable rhythm of your old self. You lose the applause of average people when you stop doing average things. You lose the easy relatability of staying stuck in the same place as everyone around you. You will be misunderstood. You will be called arrogant when all you did was raise your standard. You will be called selfish when all you did was start protecting your time. You will be called cold when all you did was stop letting the wrong people drain you dry. But here is what every single loss is quietly making room for: something greater. Every friendship that falls away creates space for a connection that was built on who you're actually becoming, not who you used to be. Every habit you kill creates room for one that serves your future instead of your fear. Every piece of your old identity that crumbles is just the scaffolding falling away from the building you were always supposed to be. But here's the second brutal truth, and this one lives in the place people guard most fiercely. Your feelings are not the compass. Most people have handed their entire future over to how they feel in a given moment. They feel unmotivated, so they don't move. They feel scared, so they retreat. They feel uncertain, so they wait, and they wait, and they wait some more. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. And one day they look up and realize they've been standing in the same place, looking at the same ceiling, living the same diminished version of the life they once dreamed of. All because they outsourced their decisions to their emotions. Here is the brutal reality that changes everything when you finally accept it. Your feelings are weather. They change, they shift, they pass. But your life is a building, and buildings are not constructed on the basis of what the weather feels like today. They are built on discipline, on decision, on the quiet, relentless commitment to doing the necessary thing, even when every emotional alarm inside you is going off at full volume. You will never feel ready, not truly, not completely. Readiness is a myth that comfort invented to keep you from ever beginning. The person who waits until they feel ready to start a business, to end a toxic relationship, to speak their truth, to pursue their calling, that person is going to be waiting for the rest of their life, because the feeling of readiness only comes after you start. Courage doesn't arrive before the leap. It is born in the leap. So if you've been waiting to feel motivated enough, confident enough, certain enough, stable enough to finally take the step your soul has been begging you to take, stop waiting. The feeling you're looking for is on the other side of the action you've been avoiding. Now let's talk about the third brutal truth, the one that cuts the deepest. Because this one is about honesty, not the kind that other people owe you, but the kind that you owe yourself. Most people are living a quiet lie, not a dramatic, obvious lie, a subtle one. The kind that hides behind perfectly reasonable sounding explanations for why things haven't worked out yet. I'll start when things calm down. I just need the right opportunity. It's not the right time. I've had a hard life. You don't understand what I've been through. These statements feel true. They have the texture of truth, but underneath them, if you are brave enough to reach down and really look, you will find something uncomfortable. You will find avoidance dressed up as wisdom. You will find fear wearing the costume of patience. You will find mediocrity hiding behind the language of self-compassion. Truth, real truth, is not your therapist. It doesn't care about protecting your feelings. It doesn't adjust itself based on how your week has been or how much you've already been through. Truth is a mirror, and what it shows you is not negotiable. It doesn't say you're lazy and then apologize. It doesn't reveal that you've been coasting and then soften the blow. It simply shows you what's real, and then it stands there, unmoved, unhurried, unapologetic, waiting for you to be brave enough to face it. Because here's what the truth will tell you if you're willing to listen. It will tell you that the real reason you're not where you want to be is not the economy. It's not your parents. It's not the city you grew up in, the school you went to, the relationship that broke your heart, or the opportunities you weren't given. The real reason is the choices you've been making, day after day, in the quiet moments where nobody was watching. You chose comfort over discipline. You chose the screen over the work. You chose the familiar over the necessary. And those choices, every single one of them, compounded. They built a wall between you and the life you say you want. And only truth can knock that wall down. This is not cruelty. This is liberation. Because the moment you stop blaming and start owning, the moment you stop explaining and start confronting, something shifts at a cellular level. You stop being a passenger in your own life. You stop watching things happen to you, and you start, for the first time, maybe for the very first time, happening to things. That is the power that lives inside the truth. Not comfort, not warmth, not validation. Power. The raw, uncomplicated power to change. And it only becomes available to you the moment you're willing to say out loud, without softening the edges, I have been lying to myself, and I'm done. Now here is something that will sting in a different place entirely. Because this truth isn't about your habits or your mindset. It's about time. It's about the invisible prison that millions of people walk in and out of every single day without ever realizing they're in it. Your past is not your prophecy, but most people treat it like it is. They carry their history on their back, like a stone they've agreed to haul forever. Every failure they ever experienced becomes evidence that failure is their destiny. Every heartbreak becomes proof that they are unlovable. Every time they stumbled, said the wrong thing, made a decision they regret, they added it to a mental file they've been building their entire life titled Reasons Why I Can't. And they take that file out constantly. They review it. They add to it. They use it to talk themselves out of every single new beginning before it even has a chance to breathe. But here is what that file never tells you, that every person who ever achieved something remarkable, every single one had a file just like yours, full of failure, full of setback, embarrassment, regret, and moments they wish they could take back. The difference wasn't that their past was lighter than yours. The difference was that they refused to let the past write the future. They understood something most people never do, that the past is information, not instruction. It tells you what happened. It does not tell you what must happen next. That part belongs entirely to you. The decision you make in this moment, not next year, not after things get better, not when you finally feel ready. This moment, right now, as these words reach you, is more powerful than every mistake you've ever made combined. Because this moment is the only place where real change is possible. The past is fixed, the future is unwritten, and the present moment is the pen in your hand. The only question is whether you'll use it. But here's where it gets really uncomfortable. Because even if you accept all of this, even if you're nodding along, feeling something shift inside you, there is still a fourth brutal truth that most people will spend their entire lifetime running from. And it's the one that requires the most courage of all to face. You have been avoiding something something specific. Not a vague concept of fear or discomfort, something exact. Maybe you know exactly what it is right now, and you feel the weight of it sitting in your chest. Maybe it's a conversation you need to have, an addiction you've been romanticizing as stress relief, a relationship you've been staying in because the alternative feels like standing in the open with nothing to hold on to. Maybe it's the business you haven't started, the apology you haven't given, the dream you buried so long ago you've almost convinced yourself you never had it. Whatever it is, it's still there. And here's the cruel reality about the things we avoid. They don't shrink from neglect, they grow. Every day you don't face the thing that needs facing, it gains mass. It takes up more mental real estate. It bleeds into your sleep, your relationships, your self-image, your sense of what you deserve and what is possible for you. Avoidance feels like relief, but it is one of the most expensive things a human being can indulge in, because the price it charges isn't paid all at once. It's collected in small pieces every single day across the entire span of your life. The road forward doesn't go around what's holding you back. It goes through it. Every person who has ever made a real transformation, not just a cosmetic change, not just a new aesthetic or a different routine, but a genuine rewriting of who they are, had to walk directly into the thing they feared most. They had to sit with the discomfort of confronting a weakness they'd been protecting. They had to have the conversation that terrified them. They had to look honestly at the habit or the relationship or the belief that was quietly destroying them and choose something different, not because it was easy, not because they felt strong enough, but because they finally accepted that avoiding it was more expensive than facing it. And that acceptance, that decision, is where transformation actually begins. Not in the motivation, not in the inspiration, in the confrontation, in the willingness to stand in front of the thing you've been running from and say out loud to yourself, I see you, and you no longer have power over me. That is the beginning of real freedom. Not freedom from difficulty. Life will always hold difficulty, but freedom from the particular prison of your own avoidance. The prison that had no walls you could touch, no bars you could see, but kept you contained more effectively than any physical barrier ever could. This is where most people stop. They reach this point in the conversation and they feel it. They feel the weight of what would be required to actually change. And something in them quietly whispers, this is too much. This is too hard. I'm not that person. And they go back to the scroll, back to the excuse, back to the comfortable story about why their life is the way it is. But you're still here, which means something in you already knows that the person you've been telling yourself you are isn't the whole story. Something in you already suspects that the version of yourself you've been settling for is a fraction of what you're actually capable of. And that suspicion, that quiet, persistent, inconvenient voice that shows up in the stillness when the noise dies down, that is not wishful thinking. That is truth, your truth, trying to reach you through every layer of comfort, distraction, and self-doubt you've stacked on top of it. And the most brutal truth of all, the one that ties everything together, the one that will either ignite something in you or make you want to look away, is this. Nobody is coming. Nobody is going to ride in and reorganize your life into the shape it was always supposed to take. Nobody is going to hand you the discipline you haven't built, the courage you haven't chosen, the boundaries you haven't drawn, the standards you haven't raised, the waiting list for someone to save you from your own avoidance, your own fear, your own comfortable mediocrity. That list has exactly 0 people on it. It always has. It always will. But here's what that truth actually means when you let it land the right way. It means you are more powerful than you've been living. It means the help you've been waiting for was always living inside the decisions you were too afraid to make. It means that everything that you want your life to become is accessible to you, not through luck, not through circumstance, through the daily, unglamorous, often thankless choice to become someone who acts in spite of fear, who moves in spite of doubt, who grows in spite of the grief that growth always brings. The question has never been whether you were capable. The question is whether you are finally ready to believe that you are. Because I promise you this, the life you want is not in some distant future that requires perfect circumstances and zero obstacles. It's not waiting for you to become fearless, flawless, or finally free from everything that's broken inside you. It is on the other side of one honest conversation with yourself. One moment where you choose truth over comfort. One decision where you stop running and start walking, even slowly, even imperfectly, even with your hands shaking, in the direction of who you're supposed to become. You have been given everything you need. You've had it all along. And the only thing standing between who you are right now and who you are capable of being is the courage to stop pretending that the gap doesn't exist. Face it, feel it, walk through it. Because the most powerful version of your life has always been waiting on the other side of the brutal truth you've been too afraid to tell yourself. Enough talking about the wound. Now let's talk about the weapon. Because at some point, and that point is right now, you have to make a decision that most people never make. Not the decision to feel better about where you are. Not the decision to understand your pain more deeply, or to journal about your fears, or to talk through your trauma one more time. The decision I'm talking about is harder than all of that. It is the decision to move, to stop standing in the burning house analyzing the smoke, and to walk out the front door. To take everything you've just accepted about yourself, about your avoidance, about the lies you've been living, and instead of sinking deeper into the feeling of it, you convert it into fuel. This is the shift, and most people never make it. They get the revelation, they feel the weight of truth settle on them, they sit with it, they cry over it, they share it, they post about it, and then 3 days later, life looks exactly the same. Because revelation without action is just emotional entertainment. It feels significant. It moves through you like thunder. But if nothing changes on Monday morning when the alarm sounds and the feeling has faded, if your feet hit the same floor and carry you through the same motions, then the truth you accepted was never really yours. You just borrowed it for a moment and gave it back. So what does the shift actually look like? It doesn't look like a montage. It doesn't look like a sunrise run with cinematic music swelling in the background. The shift is quiet, almost invisible. It looks like this. You wake up tomorrow and the voice inside your head that says later gets answered with something it has never heard from you before. Not argument, not negotiation, just movement, just the cold, deliberate decision to act before you feel ready, before you feel motivated, before the conditions are perfect. The shift is the moment you stop waiting for the right feeling and start building the right behavior. And once it starts, once you make that move just once in full awareness that it is hard and uncomfortable and you are doing it anyway, something changes in you that no motivational video, no morning routine, no productivity hack can manufacture. You develop evidence that you are someone who does what is necessary even when it's hard. And that evidence, collected slowly, day by day, in the privacy of your own daily decisions, is the foundation of real confidence. Not the confidence that comes from being told you're great. The confidence that comes from knowing, from lived experience, that you can be trusted by yourself. Now let's talk about what comes after the shift, because this is where people fall apart. The grind is not what you think it is. It has been romanticized to the point of being unrecognizable. Social media has built an entire mythology around hustle. The 4 a.m. wake-ups, the gym selfies, the perfectly curated workspace, the aesthetic of discipline. And that mythology has done something deeply damaging to the way people understand the work. It has made people believe that the grind should feel powerful, that it should look a certain way, that on the days you're truly grinding, you should feel like a warrior. So when the real work arrives, and it arrives ugly, and it arrives boring, and it arrives looking absolutely nothing like what you pictured, people mistake the ordinariness of it for a sign that they're doing it wrong. They're not doing it wrong. That's just what the work looks like. The real grind is the spreadsheet you fill out at 11 p.m. when the people you love have gone to sleep and you're still at the table because the project isn't finished. It's the business pitch you rewrite for the 7th time because the first 6 weren't good enough and you're the only one who knows it. It's the workout you finish when your body stopped cooperating 20 minutes ago and all you have left is the decision not to quit. It's the conversation you have with yourself at 2 in the morning when the doubt arrives on schedule, right on time, the way it always does, telling you that you're wasting your time, that this won't work, that people like you don't get outcomes like this, and you sit with that voice. You don't fight it. You don't drown it in a hype playlist. You just say, quietly, firmly, without drama, not today, and you keep going. That is the grind. Invisible, repetitive, often thankless, frequently boring, and absolutely, irrevocably necessary. Here is the brutal truth about discipline that no one wants to hear. You cannot import it. You cannot read enough books about it to suddenly possess it. You cannot find the right habit tracker or the right morning routine that delivers it to you fully formed. Discipline is not a personality trait that some people are born with and others are not. It is a muscle. And like every muscle, it is built through resistance. The resistance of doing something your instincts resist, the resistance of staying when everything in you wants to go, the resistance of choosing the long-term payoff over the short-term release over and over and over again, until eventually the choosing itself becomes less of a battle and more of an identity. And this is where the strategy begins to matter, because discipline without direction is just suffering with good posture. You can be the most dedicated, most consistent, most relentlessly committed person in the room and still be building in the wrong direction. Working hard on the wrong thing doesn't make you admirable. It makes you efficiently lost. So before the grind, before the sacrifice, before you decide what you're willing to bleed for, you need the clarity that most people skip entirely because it requires sitting still long enough to think. Really think, not scroll, not consume, not distract. Think. What do you actually want? Not what your parents wanted for you, not what looks impressive to the people you went to school with, not the version of success you've absorbed from watching other people live their lives online. What do you want? What does your life look like when it's working? Not just financially, not just professionally, but at the level of your soul. What does a Tuesday at 3 p.m. look like? Who are you talking to? What are you building? What does your chest feel like when you lay down at night? Most people have never asked themselves these questions seriously. They've drifted toward what was available, toward what was expected, toward the path of least resistance that society laid out and said, go here, do this, want that, and they followed it. And then, one morning, sometimes at 25, sometimes at 45, they woke up inside a life that fit them like someone else's coat. Functional, acceptable, completely wrong. Clarity is the beginning of execution. You cannot execute on a target you haven't chosen, and you cannot choose a target while the noise of everyone else's opinions is louder than your own inner knowing. So the first act of real strategy isn't writing a plan or setting a goal. It's creating the silence in which you can finally hear yourself clearly enough to know what you're actually chasing. And then, and only then, does the work become purposeful rather than simply exhausting. Now, here's what execution actually demands. And I want you to hear this not as inspiration, but as instruction. Every single day, not most days, not the days when you feel like it, not the days when circumstances cooperate, every single day you need one non-negotiable. One thing you will do regardless of how the morning started, regardless of how you slept, regardless of what someone said to you that bruised your ego or broke your focus. One thing that belongs entirely to the future you are building, not the comfort you are maintaining. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It has to be consistent, because consistency over months, over years, is the most underestimated force on earth. It is more powerful than talent. It is more powerful than intelligence. It is more powerful than opportunity, because talent without consistency is a gift nobody ever sees used. Intelligence without consistency is potential permanently on pause. Opportunity without consistency is a door that opens once and you're still getting dressed when it closes. The people who change their lives are not always the most gifted ones. They are the ones who show up when showing up costs them something, who build when they don't feel like building, who refuse to let a bad day become a bad week, become a bad month, become a bad year, become a bad life. They understand something that most people only grasp when it's too late, that your life is not built in your best moments. Your life is built in your most ordinary ones, in the accumulated weight of 10,000 small decisions that nobody saw, nobody praised, and nobody rewarded in the moment they were made. Your alarm goes off. Nobody is watching. Do you get up? You sit down to do the work? Nobody is tracking. Do you begin? You reach the point where quitting would be so easy, so reasonable, so entirely justifiable. Nobody would even know. Do you stop? Those are the moments your life is made of, not the launches, not the announcements, not the victories. The moments in between, when everything is uncertain and uncomfortable and still needs to get done, those are the moments that separate the people who change their lives from the people who spend their lives talking about changing their lives. And here's the part of the strategy that cuts deepest. The part that requires a ruthlessness most people are too polite to exercise. You have to audit your environment completely, honestly, without sentiment. Because here is a truth that sounds simple but carries enormous weight. You cannot consistently rise above the average of the people around you, not long term, not sustainably. You can surge ahead through sheer willpower for a stretch. You can white-knuckle your ambition through months of being the most determined person in the room. But human beings are profoundly environmental creatures. We absorb the energy, the standards, the language, and the expectations of the people we spend the most time with. And over enough time, we become what our surroundings reflect back at us. This is not weakness. This is neuroscience. This is just the way human beings are wired. So look around. Really look. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Not the people you admire from a distance, not your role models, the actual humans who occupy your daily life. Do they talk about growth or about grievances? Do they build or do they blame? When you share a new idea, do they challenge you to think deeper or do they remind you why it probably won't work? Do they make you feel like your potential is real and reachable? Or do they make you feel slightly guilty for wanting more than what everyone else seems content with? Because the uncomfortable truth is this: some people in your life are not against you. They don't wish you harm. They love you in their way. But they are in direct conflict with the version of you that's trying to emerge. and staying too close to them, staying too loyal to the dynamic that formed when you were both smaller, will cost you the altitude you're fighting so hard to reach. This doesn't mean abandoning people carelessly. It doesn't mean announcing departures or burning bridges with dramatic speeches. It means gradually, intentionally, quietly redirecting your time and energy toward the people and the environments that pull you up rather than the ones that quietly hold you in place. It means seeking out the people who are already doing what you want to do, who think in the way you want to think, who have standards that make yours feel insufficient by comparison, because that discomfort is growth. That gap between where they are and where you are is a compass pointing exactly where you need to go. And then there is time, the most brutally finite resource you possess. The one thing that cannot be recovered once spent, cannot be borrowed, cannot be manufactured, and cannot be replaced. Most people treat time like they have an unlimited supply of it. They spend it carelessly, sacrificing hours to things that give them nothing, protecting moments of comfort at the expense of decades of potential. They say they'll start next week, next month, next year, as if time is sitting patiently in the corner, waiting for them to be ready. It is not waiting, it is moving. Every second you spend deciding whether to begin is a second added to the gap between who you are right now and who you need to become. Here is the calculation nobody wants to do. If you are 25 and you waste 10 years convincing yourself you're still figuring it out, you will begin at 35 with the same lessons you could have learned at 25, but now with a decade less to build with. If you are 40 and you spend another 5 years waiting for perfect clarity before you commit, you will begin at 45 with the same capabilities, the same opportunities, but less runway. Time is the one variable you cannot negotiate with, cannot charm, and cannot recover, which means that the single most expensive habit you have right now is not any addiction, not any toxic relationship, not any financial mistake. It is delay. It is the quiet, daily, almost ceremonial act of choosing the present comfort over the future you. And it is costing you more than anything else ever will. So what do you do with all of this? What does it actually look like to take everything, the shift, the grind, the strategy, the environmental audit, the war with time, and turn it into a real, lived, day-by-day commitment to becoming different? That's exactly where we're going next, because the truths you've absorbed up to this point are only half the story, and the half that remains is the part that will determine everything.